Welcome back to Track and Travel with Rick, and today, guys, I ripped the dinette out of my one-year-old motorhome and sawed it in half. What am I thinking? I don't know. Let me show you what I'm doing. Okay, guys, so I didn't tear up the whole dinette, just this seat, and I want to start with the finished product, show you why I did what I did, and how, and then if you want to stick around afterwards, I'll show you how I did it. But more importantly, the problem, I can't recline very well in the passenger seat. It's pretty much straight up and down unless you really pull forward and give up your leg space, and then you can recline, but again, not very much. So my wife would like a little more leg room for these road trips we're going to take. So I thought we'll take the seat back out and make it removable, because it's not removable, but right now, take the cushion out. And what I did, we'll take this out. At this level right here, I cut the back piece in half. I used some threaded inserts into the seat back so we can take this in and out as many times as we need to. I don't think it's going to be an all the time thing, but just enough when we take our road trip. We're going to Florida, we got a road trip to Texas, and that's just too many miles sitting straight up and down. Even going to Sykeston, this would have been nice. So these are 1/4 bolts. Okay, so we have threaded inserts, 1/4 bolts. Now the seat back comes off, and we'll probably store it up top. What I did is where I cut it, I put a piece of trim to cover the edge. And now, plenty of room. Throw my seat all the way back and recline going down the road. Okay, so the finished product with the cushion in, how we intend to travel down the road. So looks complete, looks nice. Again, plenty of room. We'll be able to store up top the seat back, and when we get to our destination, if we want it, I'll put it back in. Like I said, I see us taking it out maybe 3 or 4 times this year, and pretty happy with the way it turned out. What do you think, Ricky?
I think it's going to work out great because I'm going to be sitting up there a bunch too.
Yeah. All right. So, if you want to see how we did this, just keep watching the video. We'll put all that at the end. I know kind of tedious watching, but we did a little woodwork, a couple tips and tricks of how we did it. And if you're still watching, thank you. Please like and subscribe. And our main channel is Dre Racing, the link in the description. And if you want to see what we use this motorhome for, which is mostly pulling our race car to the racetrack, tune in and show you some other things we're doing with this. Okay, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this top trim piece off. There's a lot to it. We've got 3 Phillips screws here, a multitude of them across this brace. But if I can get this off, we'll see what's holding it down here. Get this thing out of the way. Okay, get the piece of trim off. Take this apart. Probably could have left this attached to the top piece. I don't know what's holding all this together. One more screw. Okay, the plan is to remove this whole backing. So it's all one piece. Basically take these screws out, and up here, this should all remove in one piece. Then I'm going to saw it in half right here. I'm going to get some more of this trim. So where So we'll have it saw cut, but we'll have this trim as an edge, and we'll have 2 pieces of trim edge to edge. Okay, because I'm inside, I can't run the slide out. There's no room, I'm up against a wall, so I can't run the drawer out of my way. And there's 3 screws down the side. I've got to take all these screws out across the front. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and mark the top where I'm at. And we'll go ahead and pop these screws out. Okay, I'd like to point out again, this is where you sit. Full-size adults are supposed to sit here. And that was held in place in shear with screws. Absolutely destined to break in the future. So I'll cut a piece of wood the right size so we can have it hold it vertically and not have a problem. If somebody sits hard and you know, these RVs, if you land hard on a chair, it's gonna break. Okay, I took the screws off. I didn't show that on camera because that was long and tedious with the screwdriver. And let's see about pulling this panel out. Yeah, I'm not too worried about ruining anything or hurting anything because honestly, anybody with any carpentry skills can do a better job putting something together like this. So there it is. Panel is out. Marked it. I'm going to slice it on the table saw and put it back together in 2 pieces. Okay, I got this seat back out, and first thing I need to do though, is I got to get this screw out and take care of that stapler, get the sit flat. Okay, so I got to cut this horizontally, and this is some thin plywood, and I want to follow this middle bar right here all the way across. I have to go through that block of wood a little bit, and instead of using my table saw because it's in the other garage, I'm going to go ahead and use this, a really nice hand saw. See if I can get that in the picture. It's a Von Bear saw. I got it from Menards for like 20 bucks a few years ago, and it's a real fine tooth hand saw, and it cuts on the draw, and it should cut through this really nice. I think it'd be no problem cutting through this, so I'm just going to cut it by hand. So I'm going to set up the camera and see what we get. Okay, I gotta say, so far it's cutting super clean. But what I need to do is support it up here. So I'm gonna get a clamp on this, maybe an old piece of wood, keep it from flopping around, and get back to it. Okay, everything was going pretty smooth until we got down to this joint here, and there was a hidden staple which managed to wreck the fine tooth side of my saw, so that's pretty unfortunate. So after I figured out it was a staple, I got it out of the way, and we're moving along pretty good. Almost through. Using the coarse side of the saw, the cut still looks smooth, and we'll be done with this in a second. All right, even if that cost me a saw, I'd say that's a pretty clean cut. Let's see if we can get that trim on there. Okay, as you can see, I finished the trim. I put a piece of trim on to finish where I cut it off. So we're going to put this piece back. We're going to kind of trial fit it. Let me get a clamp on this. You can see this corner, we're going to have to cut a piece of wood to support it because there's no support other than the screws and shear, which is just not very strong at all. Okay, I got a piece of ripped 2x4. Go ahead and mark that. We'll cut it. All right, so I tried to secure it to the floor where the screw on this side wasn't into the floor anyways. Only this one was. and I tried pre-drilling in a couple places. It's like there's some steel or something hard under there. So we're supported through the wall on this piece of rip 2x4, and it's gonna be a lot sturdier, not relying on shear, which would just break this very thin wood. But now we have some wooden compression. So that's the bottom half done and secure. Now I need to put the top half back together. Okay, let's look at the seat back now. So this is sandwiched together, 2-piece, and this was factory cut, and this was the cut I made. So I've got this trim I'm going to put, because this side will be visible looking from the driver's compartment back. I think this little piece I'm going to take off, and I found a piece of 3/4 inch, and I'm going to cut this back, or maybe remove these and put a new piece from here to here to give it some strength. Put the trim on and then cut new pieces to fit going up to there, and see if I can tie this thing together. Okay, I had to recut that wood. Turns out that first piece I cut was off the warped end of that. So now I've got the right length. I'm gonna have to redo that. This looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and get these fastened in. I think I got some real thin long deck screws that'll go from the end, and we'll see how that works, and keep putting this thing back together. Okay, I used my Craig jig for building decks, pre-drilled. And these are long, narrow screws, so this should go in. There's the drive it in. Yep. Yeah, we'll see how this works. So I pre-fit everything to figure out where I wanted this to land. I think I'll get a clamp, tie it down. Don't have my saws, so we'll just do the best we can. Yeah, see. So I did a pre-fit. I marked, I know it's not flush, but I marked it where I needed it to be. And we'll see. Well, I definitely didn't like the way that was going together, so I'm going to tie this together in place. Got it clamped. And we'll see about running a screw in. Let me get another clamp or two. Okay, I managed to get that bottom piece attached, and I'm doing a trial fit. Pretty happy with it. So now it's a matter of getting these attached, or doing something a little bit better there, strengthening it up, and then putting it all back together. Okay, so part of my concern is because I've cut this in half, and it is the seat back, some people might want to lean on it for a little bit of support. So I went ahead and built some gussets down here just to give a little support, and a way to attach this piece I put down here. So a few screws, and I did put some glue on it this time. So I just got some gussets, and I'm gonna go ahead and screw and glue that together. The part over here concerns me because this is where it's attached and out in the aisle, and this is just very flimsy wood. So I need to take this off, make it one piece, and then maybe gusset it up here and down here and glue it all together. So I think that's the plan. One thing I learned here, I need to pre-drill my screw up top first, and then I'll pre-drill down here, run a couple in, one in here, and do the same. Get a little bit of glue in there, and I think we'll have something. Okay, the next thing, I'm gonna take the screw out I put in here and pull this out. This is a 2-piece with some staples, and just pull those staples out, and I'll cut a piece of wood to fit and repeat the process. And yeah, I'm not really the channel for carpentry woodworking tech tips. I mean, I can do this, but there's a lot better places to get good information. But what I do want to do is give you ideas of how to do and what you can do. So that's what we're going for. Okay, I got the screw out. Just a little staple here and these bigger staples. I'll see if I can get them out with the side cutters. Okay, it's the next day. The glue's dried. Seems pretty secure. It's real nice. I found this piece of oak, 3/4, that I'm gonna build a piece here to tie this together. And honestly, if I wasn't just trying to use things I have around and not spend any money on anything, I would get a 3/4 sheet of plywood, and from here down, just take it out and put a piece of plywood in, or maybe just cut a whole piece and transfer the paneling. Yeah, it'd be a little heavier, but a little bit stronger. So we'll see. I'm just going to use what I have. I'm going to cut a piece out and see how that works. Yeah, I was just thinking, I sure wish I had some of my woodworking tools out here. And hey, I got a bandsaw. I can cut it. So we'll go ahead and use the bandsaw and give it a shot. Okay, that bandsaw worked pretty good. So I just cut a piece out like this, and that'll make up the difference. It's notched out to match the notch. And boom. So I'm going to attach that with pocket screws. So I'll probably, and up here is about where somebody might be leaning on this, and I want this to be strong and not twist and buckle. So we'll go ahead and cut some pocket screws out and see how that works. Okay, if you're not familiar with Craig Jig's pocket screw, it's a pretty cool little jig that will allow us to drill a hole that's piloted and then gets wider for these very large ended wood screws. So go ahead and use a clamp, secure. Then we take our plywood, or in this case it's a solid piece of wood that we want to put a hole in. Then drive the clamp forward, and we'll put a pocket hole in. Gotta get this to sit square, hang on. Move it over just a little bit. Got this raised up because the part's sticking down. This part's extending down further. All right, that should work. And there's a guide. See if that's in frame. Yep. Go ahead and see what we got. So we have a pocket hole. Drop the screw down in there. You run it through, and it's pretty secure. So I'm going to do 2 more. Let's see. Use the center guide. And now that you get the idea, I'll go ahead and put it in the fast motion so you don't have to listen to the drill. All right, that's screwed into place, and that's not going anywhere. I forgot I had this pocket hole Craig jig, and might have used it sooner on this project. So it's a good way to, that's only 3/4 inch thick, and we butted this piece up against this. It didn't protrude, and it's just solid. There's 6 screws in there, and it's not going anywhere. I think I'll get a little glue on the paneling. I should have done that firsthand, but get some glue under there and get it clamped up, and we'll call it a night. Okay, the glue's dried, and you can see I got my new piece is replacing this stapled together kind of a mess. I did a trial fit, everything seems to fit, so I'm gonna go ahead and just put this all back together, kind of reverse order as I took it apart. Okay, I got the piece back in for a trial fit. Everything looks good. Fits in the spot, so I'm going to go ahead and mark that side with the Sharpie where I need to drill my hole. And we'll get one fitted up, and then we'll come over to the other side, and then we'll mark the rest. So this will be an iterative process, but we'll get it to fit nice. Okay, I ended up using a Forstner bit to cut through the thin plywood because these clips drive into the wood and it's not going to hold on the plywood. So I'm not too happy with the aesthetics there. This side I'll do a little better job now that I know what I'm doing, but we're never going to see it anyways. So that little problem disappears. So let's run the screws in, see what we get. Okay, I'm going to install the threaded inserts on the opposite side now that I think I might know what I'm doing. These are held in place only by these little spikes biting into the wood. So biting into plywood, this very thin 1/4 inch stuff is not going to work to have any bite because I won't get any depth into the oak that I put in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Forstner bit, and I center punched where the holes go. I'm going to use a Forstner bit. This is just slightly larger. Sorry, this is just slightly larger, which will give us some space. Then I'll knock those in and drill them out, and should work. Okay, after all that, final product installed. You can see where we made the cut, put the trim. Everything looks good, looks original, nice and sturdy. The threaded inserts I did end up epoxying in, and then I used a 1/4-20 washer. So behind the steel plate where the 1/4-20 bolt is pulling through, I used a washer to shim it out to make up for where I used the Forstner bit to cut the plywood out, so it's not trying to pull the insert out. And like I said, I ended up epoxying the inserts in, and I'm pretty happy with it.